Good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this March 3rd, the edition of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. Hey,
What's up?
how's it going, man?
First Friday.
First Friday. Yeah.
First Friday.
Well, First Fridays just always seem like a Thursday to me, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we're
Yeah,
almost
but I don't have to get up early tomorrow.
That's true.
That's why it's First Friday.
Yeah.
I don't have to get up quite as early.
Yeah.
Sports wise, let's
Yeah.
just get right into that real fast.
Okay.
EOU men's and women's indoor track starts nationals today. They're in where are they? They're in Brookings, South Dakota. And we have 11 qualifiers for indoor, including the number one heptathlon scorer in the country going in for TJ Davis. He's the number one ranked heptathlete in the whole country right now. Wow. We had 3 guys qualify in the heptathlon. That's crazy.
Wow.
3 guys in one event. Well, I mean, it's 7 events, but it's one. You either win it or you don't.
What is that?
Heptathlon's like the decathlon, but it's
Okay.
the indoor version. So instead of 10 events, it's 7.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me to name them all because I don't know all of them, but I just know that TJ has, I think his score is like 5,200 or something like that, and it leads the whole country. It's the best score this year. He only did the HEP one time during the indoor season, and that's all he had to do to qualify to hit his A mark. He's still like 400 away from the national record, which was set by an EOU dude back in 2012. I can't remember his name, but he's an EOU guy.
And it's HEP or HEF.
HEP.
Okay.
Like HEP 7, heptathlon.
Okay.
And then the decathlon is 10. 10 events in the spring, 7 in the winter. They only do 7, and it's like 60-meter dash, the 1K, the high jump. There's some hurdles in there. The high jump, the long jump, the discus, and the shot put, I think. So it's all field events besides for the 3 running events. The 1K, the 60-meter, and then I think it's like the 60 hurdles or something like that.
It's kind of like the all-around in gymnastics, I mean, it's
yeah.
I mean, you really have
everything.
Yeah, you really have to be athletic. I mean, you have to. I mean, clearly these are all athletes, but you have to be a really well-rounded athletic person in order to. Which is totally.
I can't remember if it was the 92 Olympics or the 96 Olympics where we had the 2 Americans, Dave Johnson and Dan O'Brien, that were both decathletes, and they were both going head-to-head for gold. I can't remember if it was 92 or 96, but it was a big deal. They were both like Nike guys, Gatorade guys. It was all over the news. And then we also have the 6 Mountaineer, 96, thanks, Colby. Yeah, that was cool. That was like, it was big news in 96. Like these 2 guys, I think one of them might be a guy from the Northwest too. But it was just cool to watch those. The multi guys are definitely so. I'm fired today.
Yeah, you're the one that's
BC.
You're the one that's real sensitive about that, so it's okay.
But yeah, that 96 Olympics was cool. As for wrestling for EOU, we also have something else happening this weekend. They are in Park City, Kansas tomorrow and Saturday, and we got 6 guys that qualified for nationals. It's the most ever for EOU. And not only that, it was the first time they've ever won the CCC. They were picked to finish 5th in the CCC, and they won it. And Dustin Azure, their coach, was the CCC Coach of the Year. And I think we had 3 or 4 All-Americans or all conference. We'll know All-Americans after the end of the weekend. If you make it to day 2, you get a top 8, and you're an All-American. So
cool.
It's kind of how the wrestling works. I had the 3 state champs from LeGrand on my show yesterday. It was good. They're good kids, man. We went up on the roof, took some pictures. It was fun. Today on the show, so he swims for Cove, but he's homeschooled. Tim Koza, he's state champion, 2 events. I think the 200 individual medley and the 50 butterfly. I think I could be wrong, but it was a 50-meter. It's either butterfly or breaststroke, and he'll be on the show tonight. And then I'm hoping to get Garrett Burns, who's the state champ from Embler. He's a wrestler, 3-time state champ from Embler.
Wow.
He's been on my show before, but it was when he was like 15 years old, so it was like 2 years ago. Almost. How long have I been doing that show? A year and a half almost. So it was really early on, and I think he only had 1 state championship at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was digging through some old pictures, and I found some pictures of the 2019 state championship wrestling. That man, it's just crazy. I was looking at like pictures of Josh Collins. I actually posted one. How much they've grown, like high school kids, they just grow so much from freshman to junior. He doesn't even look the same, and it's the only picture I had of him. So I used it as the announcement, and he walks in here, and I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have used that picture. You look 12 in that picture. But it was the only one I had. So I mean, besides for wrestling, the only one where you could see his face. And then sports wise, EOU flip-flop baseball. They were supposed to play C of I here this weekend. If you look outside, that's probably not going to happen. So they flip-flopped. They took the C of I series that was supposed to be here this weekend, and they're going to play at C of I. And then the C of I series that was supposed to be there in like a month is going to come here during that time. And then softball's on the road. They're on the road for their first 17 games of the year. So that's
right. Yeah.
So it's basketball's over. Philip Malatar, the Montana kid. If you guys are bored one day, Google his name or YouTube. Go to YouTube and search Philip Malatar, and there's a documentary on him that has like 50,000 views. He's from the res. From Arley, I think it is. Does that sound right, BC? Arley, Montana?
I don't know.
It's like he's from the reservation. This is his first year at EOU. He was the second leading scorer in the conference. Got first team All CCC and newcomer of the year. And then Xavier Lovelace, it's his first year at EOU. He was honorable mention. And then on the women's side, they're done as well. They lost in the second round of the playoffs, and Sailor Leafkey and Taylor Strickland. Sailor's a junior, Taylor's a senior. They both first team All CC for the second year in a row, both of them. So, and Sailor might get some, might end up being an All-American, I would imagine. She had a really good year.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's where we're at sports-wise.
Good. Well,
time for some weather.
Yeah. So look at that, kind of drizzly and wet.
That poor bus driver has to wear his mask when he drives. I see him all the time. He looks miserable too.
Miserable. And it looks like is the date March 12th? I think the mask mandate's coming off.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting.
I wonder where those people are going. It's 8:15. So I mean, if you're going to work, it'd generally be at 8. Where are people getting? Where are people going that are getting off the bus at the library at 8:15 in the morning?
Maybe that. Yeah, I don't know. Going downtown.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wonder.
Yeah, there's quite a few people though who depend on that little local bus service that we got.
Yeah, there's always somebody sitting out front when I'm on my way to work on the early days, sitting out this little bus stop right here. Why did the congregation of homeless people move across the street?
Well, I think
what happened.
I think
see him right there?
Yeah, no.
They used to be in Max Square. What happened?
I think because that's on a sunny day, that's where the sun shines. The sun lands right on the front of the library there. So
and it's covered too, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Semi-covered. But there's no outlets there.
No, I don't know.
I was wondering that the other day.
I would not spend the winter in Eastern Oregon. It's like there's a whole lot of other places where you can go. Yeah.
And I think we talked about it before. When I was a kid, there was no homeless people here, and the ones that were homeless, you know where they lived?
Where?
But so you know where the baseball fields are, right?
Yeah, Pioneer Park.
Back behind there.
Uh-huh.
Like back towards the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
There was like a little tent city that was set up. A few homeless people lived back there, but you never saw homeless people downtown ever.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
Well, the warming station brought them downtown.
There was people hanging out at Max Square before the warming station, though. No. Not
that anyone would take notice. No, this is. The warming station is a needed thing, but without a doubt, the warming station being in downtown is what has caused the congregation.
I could have swore I've seen people there before the warming station.
No, I have. I have no recollection of that. So, but I think that we're just experiencing what cities everywhere are experiencing, as far as an increase in homelessness. And so part of that, I think part of the reason they're in downtown is because of the warming station. But I think that just homelessness, the housing crisis is pretty much everywhere. So it's just a deal.
But so what about most places that I used to, I've volunteered at one in Independence, and they were only open on days that were like, they had like a criteria. They're only open on nights that were going to get below a certain temperature.
Yeah.
This one here's open all the time.
Well, it's during the winter months.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's open all days, right? During the winter months.
Well, it's only open at night. And so they sleep there.
Yeah. They have to leave by 7:00 or whatever.
Right.
Do you think that might contribute to people staying in Eastern Oregon that might have used to leave?
I think that. Right. I think absolutely. The people who study these things say yes. So it's kind of
who studies these things?
A lot of people. Well, I wouldn't say, I'm sorry, not a lot of people, but there are people depending on your persuasion, and the same thing can be said for affordable housing. If you have low income housing in your community and you have those services available, then what the good thing is that for the low income folks that you have living there is a place for them to live. But at the same time, it also becomes an attraction. Those services become an attraction for people outside the area to come in. That also is well known. So it's a complex issue. It is not simple to solve. You need to provide for those people that need those services, but at the same hand, it affects, it draws in folks also. Without
when it comes to housing right now, everybody's low income. If you look at how much it costs for housing compared to how much people are making, it doesn't even compare. You can't even hardly live.
No, it's funny. I was listening to the Portland news the other day, and they said that a family to have a house in the Portland area or anywhere in that area, you really have to have an income of almost $100,000 a year.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Our situation is clearly better. We don't have, but still the prices of rentals is up significantly.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
It's very, very, people can't even, it's just.
Well, and it's, I know people personally that own properties, and, the people that I know have purposely not raised rental prices or not taken advantage of that situation. But still, what that means though is those places are never vacant because
the people that are already renting them stay there.
They stay there, right? Yeah.
I don't know anybody that hasn't had their rent raised, so you must be like one of the few.
It's funny. My Michaela has been in Portland for a long time, and they just recently relocated to Vancouver, Washington, and they were pretty anxious to get out of the city when it came right down to it. And their house is getting ready to go on the market and whatever. But I asked her, I said, well, like, because once they got it, we saw them a couple of weekends ago, and they're like, and there's just a ton of shootings. I mean, crime has gone through the roof in Portland, along with everything else. And that they were saying, wow, we are so thankful to be out of there. So thankful. And so then I asked the question, but that has not affected the prices of houses in Portland.
No.
There's still lots of buyers. And so that was a question I asked. Well, who's buying houses in Portland? If you guys are wanting to get out of there to have a better way of life, they have kids and, she said, well, people who have been renting all of this time, they have been wanting to buy. And so then I was kind of ignorant to the situation as to who was buying houses or who would choose to buy a house in an overpriced market. And there's still a lot of people who want to live in the city. Not me.
There's some people that have to.
Yeah.
Some people, you know what I mean? Like, there's just some people that can't commute or they have to be there. I know, like, there's certain jobs where you have to be within a certain radius of where you work. Lifelight's a perfect example.
Right.
My best friend's a Lifelight nurse, and he has to be for his 7 days on, he has to be within 10 minutes of the bird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the vast majority of jobs are going the opposite way. I mean, remote. I mean, everybody is going remote. My son Brady, it was funny because Michaela moved out of Portland. Brady moved into Portland because he wanted to be there. But I mean, he's working remotely for a company. I don't even know where they are. So he can live anywhere he wants.
Well, not the vast majority of jobs. The majority of people still have to get up and go to work.
Right. But I mean, that really is the direction. That really is the direction where the market is going. And frankly, I think it's a great opportunity for Eastern Oregon because, I mean, we have a very desirable place to live. And so, I mean, there are a certain number of people that are relocating to this area, but they're working remotely. And why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just brings in a different culture.
Right. But you can't change that. I mean, that is just part of, I mean, every society at some point has to decide, well, do I want to keep out certain kinds of people, whatever they might, maybe they don't think the way that you think or whatever, are we going to do that at the expense of our own community dying because there's no fresh blood moving in?
Well, BC, you do realize LeGrand's population hasn't changed since 1950, right? 1950.
Right.
So, I don't think we're dying. I mean, the population hasn't changed. The same amount of people live here as they did in 72 years ago. Yeah.
So, but since that time, a lot of people have died and a lot of people were born or have moved in, right? So that transition. No, I get what you're saying.
I wonder what the percentage is. That have moved in from. I don't think a lot of people have relocated here compared to how many people have been born here, and you know what I mean. Like, I think it's still
right.
Pretty...
Let's like say, I mean, it'd be really interesting to have this conversation with the Remax folks because we ask, who's buying, because right now, even higher priced housing, let's say $200,000, $300,000. Well, even a normal house is $200,000. I mean, the kind of, I don't know, a 3-bedroom family house, but anyhow, those more expensive homes are hardly there because they're being bought up by people who are younger and have income and they're moving in and they're working remotely. So I think it is happening.
You think the population is going to go up?
I I have no idea.
I just don't think there's enough here for the population to go.
I do know that, when you look at the numbers, and when I talk to people who look at the numbers, who understand the growth of LeGrand and this area and so on and so forth,
there is no growth. It hasn't grown in 70 years.
It's not positive. I mean, we've barely maintained. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And I mean, economically, we still, when we're not thriving by any means. So
I wonder if that'll end up happening one day.
I don't know
I mean, it's not a bad place to live. I'm not complaining.
I'll ride this horse till it dies.
Yeah, I'm simple. I'll take the simple life. Keep the Portland people on the other side of the mountains. I'm good with that.
Dana said, I relocated here. Yes, you did, man. We're glad you're here.
Unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we got? I got some trivia for you, BC.
You got some stuff? Yeah. And hey, so it's just Doddsy and I today. So if you guys want to jump in, we'd love to. We're just going to kind of rattle off here for a few minutes and.
All right, you guys can try to answer this too. How many square feet of pizza is eaten in the U.S. each year? Square feet. How many square feet of pizza is eaten in the U.S. each year?
Wow.
Yeah, square feet. Like
so like a medium-sized pizza.
It's probably like 2 square feet or close.
No, it's probably about a square foot.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no idea. And so then
take a guess.
I have no guess. I have no clue. What?
2.4 billion.
2.4 billion
square feet of pizza is eaten in the U.S. each year. 2.4, Dana.
I wonder how many acres how many acres are 2.4 billion? That would be an interesting question, because that's how Eastern Oregoners really kind of get their head around square feet.
Oh gosh, it's 55,096 acres. 55,096 acres.
That's funny.
55,096 acres. That's a lot of acres.
You know what's funny is my dad, when I was in high school, he managed a ranch in Wyoming, and it had 55,000 acres.
How 55,000 acres?
Yeah, 55. I think it was. It was like there's 640 acres in a square mile. So it was 30 or 40 square miles. I don't know how that calculates out. I can't remember. But
you couldn't even cover 55,000 acres in a month.
No, you can't. I remember I would go. We would go out to the ranch house where he was at, and it would be a half an hour drive off of the highway just to get to the house.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Where do you think? All right. Next question. Where were fortune cookies invented?
In the United States.
Where?
Oh, I don't know. In
some
Middle Eastern town, some Mid-Eastern town. Like
nope.
Sorry, Midwest. Where at?
Brady got it. San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right. How many bricks is the Empire State Building made of? How many bricks? And don't Google it, you cheaters. Just put, if you're going to answer, don't use your phone.
Yeah.
How many bricks in the Empire State Building?
2 million.
No.
More or less?
More.
I don't know.
There's 5 times that many. There's 10 million bricks.
10 million.
Empire State Building. 10
I can't
bricks.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't. It must be. I wonder if it has a metal.
200 million. Yeah, but Dana, I Googled it, but I'm not playing. 200 billion bricks. You know how many bricks that would be? That's a lot of bricks.
And what was the answer? 200 million?
It's 10 million. There's
10
10
million.
million bricks in the Empire State Building. 200 billion. All right, next one. What was the first patented service uniform in the United States? The first patented service uniform in the United States.
Well, can we think
not military? Just
I know, but who patents their uniform? I don't even know people occupations who do that. Like,
the Hugh Hefner did, and it was the Playboy bunny uniform. Was the first patented uniform in the United States. The bunny uniform.
Oh, that is the answer?
They wear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. First patented uniform in the United States was like that bunny outfit that the girls wear at the mansion. Yeah. Smart dude.
Yeah.
All right. Who named the Pacific Ocean? Come on. This is an easy one. This is easy. I knew this without even Googling it. Because I did pay attention in school, like a little bit. Anybody who named the Pacific Ocean?
I don't. Yeah. It wasn't. It was way before. Was it some Spanish?
Dana got it.
Magellan. Wow. Yep. Okay.
Magellan. Boom. Do I have any more? Yeah, I do. Approximately how many miles of blood vessels are there in the human adult body?
How many miles?
Yeah.
15.
You're not even close.
More?
Yeah.
Way more?
Way more. Anybody? Yeah. Anybody got a guess? Our bodies are home to more than 100,000 miles of blood vessels. John Comby knew. He should know. I mean, he does.
100,000.
100. Okay. Here's another question.
But wait. While
if you're listening.
But wait a second. So, but when we were in Portland when they had that body life exhibit. It's very interesting, and they take cadavers, and they have this cadaver, but all that's there is just, you have just the nervous structure, the nervous system, and one of them was the blood vessel structure. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
All right. So, Comby, you might be able to get this one without Googling it. What are the only two parts of the human body that have no blood vessels? There's only two. Apparently they don't need blood to live, obviously, because they don't have blood vessels. So there's two parts of the body.
Seems like it'd be some kind of a bone or some kind of a cartilage structure, or
cartilage is one of them.
Okay, all right.
Cartilage is one of them. Bones have to have blood to live.
Right. But it would be some kind of a.
There's one other one, and you have to have it to do something that's pretty important.
Teeth?
No. Teeth have blood vessels.
Right. Just kind of.
The cornea in your eye.
Really?
Yeah, has no blood vessels.
Weird.
Yep, John Comby got it. The cornea. Yep. Yeah, the cornea in your eye and then cartilage are the only parts of your body that don't have blood vessels. 100,000 miles of blood vessels, though. Like, think about that. Think about how small blood vessels have to be to have 100,000 miles. That's like across the U.S. What would that be?
It's halfway.
Times.
It's halfway. Times. It's halfway from here to the moon.
That's a lot.
Yeah. The moon is 240,000 miles away.
Oh my goodness! Where do they all hide?
Yeah,
they must be really small.
And how do you measure that? That's interesting. I wonder how they,
You think somebody just took a body apart and dissected 100,000?
No, there's no way. I don't, because some of those blood vessels would be too small to even observe. Yeah.
I mean, you could observe them. They'd be too small to you could, a microscope can find.
All right. Stretch that out. Will you put that? Okay. All right. We got a half an inch there. Okay. Write that down. I don't know.
It'd be funny to watch. They could turn that into like a comedy show. Yeah. Measuring inch by Dude, that would be horrible. Like, if that was your job would suck.
Yeah.
It'd take like years to
Yeah. It'd be like, okay, we did the right arm. We did the right arm. You do the left arm.
It'd take you a year to do the right arm.
Right.
Well, what are you doing today at work? Oh, I'm measuring blood vessels again.
Well, and that's part of this display that they had in Portland. It was really interesting because people donate their bodies and then they preserve them, clearly. But I mean, they had all of these structures, all of the individual components of the body were broken into different displays. And these were real bones, real bodies, real skin, real
creepy.
Yeah, it was a little creepy, but
not doing it.
Really fascinating.
That's like the people that drive the dead bodies to the funeral home. Nope, not doing it.
You're not going to do that?
No, and I'm not. I couldn't do the old cleanup thing either, or be a paramedic or a cop. No, blood makes me. Not my own blood. I mean, my own blood's fine, but I'll tell this story. I think it's like 4 years ago. It was the summer before I moved back here. I'm coaching. I think they were 10 at the time, 11 at the time. Wait, how old's Con? Yeah, 11 at the time. And we're in McMinnville, and it's baseball. And my center fielder is a kind of lanky kid. My right fielder is the running back on the football team. He's like kind of bulky. He's fast. And there's a little blooper into right center field, and they're both going for it. Center fielder's running, glove up like this. The right fielder tries to check up and kind of goes down and hits him. And it compound tib fib and breaks his femur, dislocates his knee.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm the first one out there. I mean, because I didn't even hear the kid who got hit scream. The right fielder was the first one to scream when he saw it. I get out there. There's a cantaloupe on his thigh where his femur broke. His tib fib is like compound fractured. His knee is like completely out of place. And there's some blood coming down. And you know that feeling when you're about to pass out? and so I go to a knee. I didn't pass out. Okay. We're sitting there. There's 3 moms on the team that are trauma nurses, including his mom.
Oh, wow.
So they come running out there. They bring a blanket. I'm holding his hand. They're holding a blanket so he can't see his leg. It's mangled mess. It's not pretty. Well, we're sitting there. We're talking. Finally, the ambulance gets there. Life flight's on the way. They life flighted him to OHSU from McMinnville, in which, I mean, McMinnville's only 40 minutes away, but I guess they were in a hurry. Because they were worried about, like blood loss and so we're sitting there and the EMT was like, you got to move. And I said, well, I'm not moving. I'm staying right here. You can work around me. I'm holding his hand. You know what I mean? Like his mom can't be down here right now. She's freaking out. And so the EMT kind of wiggles around me and he doesn't have the cap on the needle to put the IV in. And it gets blood all over me. And I just.
So say it again. Wait, he didn't have the needle. So he had the needle that he had stuck.
Put the IV in. The needle, you know how it's not connected yet?
Yeah.
The needle that he put in didn't have the cap on it.
Oh, I see. So as soon as he stuck it in, blood started coming out. Yeah. Yeah.
And so he goes, again. And then the kid looks up at me and he goes, it hurts. And I go, have you ever had painkillers before? And he goes, no. I said, it ain't going to hurt in a minute. And they hooked up the IV thing and they just shot him, loaded him full of. And he goes, oh, I feel good. So they ended up, they don't, nowadays they don't, they used to put you in a full body cast for a broken femur, right? All the way up. They don't cast the femur anymore. They just put a rod in it. Yeah, no cast at all. So he only had a cast from the knee down. And he's back. I mean, 3 years later, he's playing football, playing basketball, and seems to be okay. But it's the worst one I ever saw, and I almost went out twice, dude.
It's funny. So that blood does not bother me,
Ugh,
and yeah, so it was so. I mean, I'll tell you a little story. So my oldest daughter, Michaelis, when they were younger, we were camping in a camper, and this knife fell off the cabinet, and it just so happened to land on the top of her big toe. Okay. And didn't quite, but it almost cut the tendon. Okay. So then we haul her to the emergency room, and I'm in there with her, and the doc is sewing it up and looking at it. And the nurse looks over at me and she goes, "Do you need to sit down? Or are you going to?" It's like, "No, I'm good." And so then about 2 weeks later, we're in there again with one of the, I can't remember exactly. I think Kelsey injured her finger or something. And so we're in there again. And I see this, it's the same nurse, the same ER doc. And the nurse, he starts working on this finger, and the nurse, she starts to turn around to say, "Hey, are you going to faint?" She turns around and goes like, "Oh, you're okay." I mean, because she had remembered that kind of thing does not bug me. Now, anyhow, it's just funny.
After my son's 4th set of stitches or staples, we told him that we weren't taking him to the hospital anymore for stitches or staples unless it was on his face. We were just going to fix it at home, because you go to the hospital with a kid, you automatically get questioned. Like, it's really uncomfortable. Like, dude, my son was he fell down the stairs, right?
Right.
And at the bottom, there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh shoot, he killed himself. Like, this is it. Like, I thought he had like a screwdriver or something. Well, he had my drill. He was coming downstairs with the DeWalt drill, and it wasn't even the drill that got him. It was the corner at the bottom of the stairs, and it just, I mean, it was like a cut about this big, but it was a bloody mess, and it's just like, no, we ain't doing this anymore. Like, you've had stitches way too many times. We're not going to the hospital. We're putting some super glue on it, and you'll be fine. So that's what he's had stitches or super glue. I got stabbed all the way through the hand in high school. I don't know if you can see it.
I cannot.
Right there. It's that right there in the middle, right? There, you see it? There's that line that goes up and down.
Yeah.
I got stabbed all the way through the hand. I didn't go to the doctor. I had a football game that night.
Probably the most interesting thing that I had with kids is Brady ran right into the corner of a door jam, and him and some kids were playing tag, and he was running around, and he hit the corner of a door, and it was just had the perfect cut right down the middle of his forehead. And anyhow, we took him up. Dr. Baines happened to be working then, and Lou Baines, and he just retired from Grand Ronde Hospital. And he said, normally you'd have a plastic surgeon do that. And he said, but I can just do really small stitches, and sure enough, man, he just, on
the face, on
the
head.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you wouldn't, unless you knew it was there, you wouldn't even be able to see it. So I'm
trying to find a picture real fast to show. Comby will enjoy this, I'm sure, if I can find it. This is what my son dealt with all year. You see that, Comby?
Big knees.
That's called a blown bursa sac. And every time he wrestled, his knee would do that. Look at that.
Wow. What is that from?
That's just I'm from.
I mean, what's that full of? Is it full? Does it fluid on the knee?
Yeah, and they won't drain it unless it's like hurts, or if they're, because they don't want to take a chance at introducing infection.
Right.
So they just leave it, and he wrestles. It's gross. It was big old sack of fluid like that, and I didn't touch it this time, but I've touched it before, and it's like a bag of saline almost, like an IV bag, it's kind of squishy and weird, and
all right, Wow. Interesting topics.
Yeah.
We just kind of wander into.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Let's get out of here.
yep.
On this day, what is today? March 3rd, in 1847, the U.S. Post Office is authorized to issue postage stamps on this day in 1847.
Wow.
On this day in 1885, American Telephone and Telegraph incorporates, AT&T.
Wow.
On this day, the Star-Spangled Banner officially becomes the U.S. national anthem, 1931 by congressional resolution. On this day in 1955, Elvis Presley makes his first TV appearance on a TV broadcast of the radio show Louisiana Hayride. BC, you probably remember that. 1955.
What year was that?
1955.
No, that was before my time even. Good.
On this day in 1991, Los Angeles police officers beat Rodney King, the most famously captured on amateur video in the history of the United States. In 2005, on this day, Steve Fawcett becomes the first person to fly an airplane around the world solo without any stops for refueling. So he went all the way around the world with no refueling. It's 25,000 miles, and he completed it in 67 hours and 2 minutes.
Was that an electric aircraft, or was that a gas? I mean, I wonder how they did that.
I don't know. That's all it said. I didn't dig into it. The number one song on this day in, let's see, this would be 2012, because all the other ones have already been blasted, is 21 by Adele. So 10 years ago on this day, 21 by Adele. And then the quote of the day comes from Alice Walker. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get, you've got to make yourself. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get, you have to get yourself.
Good stuff. All righty.
Next Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.